Thank you for logging on to monstergardens.com. Today we're looking at different air stones that we sell at Monster Gardens, as well as different air pumps, from more inexpensive air pumps to more of the commercial grade air pumps. It's to break up the surface tension of the water, but also add or increase the oxygen level in the water itself. In tea brewers, it's important to add oxygen in order to increase the biological activity. So here we have more of the commercial grade air stones. These are the micropore air stones. And the micropore air stones are pretty unique. The micropore uses a unique air stone itself. It's a commercial grade air stone, and what it does is it diffuses the bubbles to a level where they're 0.09 to a quarter millimeter in size. So they're quite smaller than the other air stones, so you get a lot more bubbles with the same size air stone in the same air pump that you would get with other air stones. They also don't dissolve in high acidic environments, so these air stones will last for long periods of time. They're easy to clean, and this is more of the commercial grade air stone. Now, of course, for smaller tanks we have the flex stone, and this you can kind of flex it around and put it in different configurations to get the best aeration possible. Next we have the air disc, and the air disc is a heavy flat air stone that drops to the bottom. It's about 4 inches in width, and it basically aerates from the bottom of the reservoir, and it's a heavy one, so it sticks to the bottom. So if you have pumps that are moving water around your reservoir, this is a good air stone to make sure that it's not moving around with the pumps moving the water. As well as these, which are the really inexpensive air stones that we sell. We have large, medium, and small, and these are typically used in smaller reservoirs or even tea brewers. These are very commonly used in tea brewers to aerate the brew. Now we have a couple different air pumps here, and we sell many different air pumps, but this is just an example of a few different ones that we sell a lot of here at Monster Gardens. We have the Eco, the hobby horticulture air pump. This is the dual air pump. Then we have our beginning level of the commercial grade air pumps, and this is also the Eco commercial grade air pumps. And then we have the dual diaphragm GH pump, which has been used by gardeners for many years. And these both have 4 outlets. So these 3 air pumps can actually run multiple air stones. This one runs 2, this one, and this one can both run 4. So let's go ahead and take these air stones and air pumps and put them in our water tanks and take a look at the differences in action. Here's our Eco Dura pump, and as we can see, the Eco 3 Dura pump has 6 outlets. So you can actually run 6 different air stone sites. Now it's important to know when you're running lines from here, you always want your lines to be even length. And the reason why is air moves to the path of least resistance. So if one is shorter than another, that air stone is always going to get more air moving through it. So it's important to know that keeping even lengths is going to get the best even air distribution when you're aerating your reservoir or your tea. It's also important to know that you probably want to use the same air stone for every output. That way you're getting even airflow, because different air stones will allow air to move through at different rates. This way you have the most balanced air distribution system. So we have our Air 3 here, and what we did was we eliminated some of the air lines, so we just have the 1/4 inch air line, and what we're going to run here is a small air stone. This is a small, inexpensive Ecoplus round air stone. So here's our 2-inch round air stone. This is the 2-inch round Eco, the small 2-inch round air stone. So as we can see, the small round air stone is actually not a perfect match for this air pump, being the fact that it's commercial grade. We just want to show you the differences of the air stone. So that's it in the commercial pump. Let's take a look at the 2-inch air stone in a regular hobby size pump. So here we have the small round air stone running off the Eco Air 2. And this is just one of the outlets. We just went ahead and plugged the other one for now so you can see the single air stone running. And this is a small Eco round air stone on the Eco 2. Let's go ahead and upgrade to the medium-sized Eco air stone. So right now we're running the Eco 2 air pump with our medium air stone. So the Eco 2 air pump actually has a dial where you can increase or decrease the airflow. I think most folks will go for a maximum increase all of the time. And as you notice with our round air stone and our medium round air stone with our Eco Air 2, because you could probably flow more air through this. We see the air is only moving through the top, the path of least resistance. We actually see this medium air stone could probably take a larger air pump, but as we can see, it's a great air stone for this size air pump. But if need be, we could always add this air stone to a larger air pump. Let's go ahead and plug the medium into the commercial grade air pump to look at the difference. So there we have the medium air stone running at full capacity with our commercial grade air pump. As you can see, now the bubbles are moving through the entire air stone. And this is the medium round air stone. It's quite a bit different world from the Eco Air 2. Now last, let's take a look at the large round air stone. The last of the round air stones. Let me just show you the difference in sizes of these guys. So as you can see here, we have large, medium, small. We've already done the small, we just did the medium, and now we're moving on to the large round air stone. And I think this Eco Air 3 is going to do great with this air stone because of the amount of air moving through this commercial grade pump. That's the large round air stone with the Eco 3 Durapump. Let's go ahead and plug it into our smaller air pump, Eco 2. And as you can see with the Eco 2, it's a little bit different of a world of airflow. If I chose this air stone with this air pump, I'd probably run it on its side. Now we do have 2 outlets here on this air pump, so let's go ahead and run another air stone, just take a look at it in action. So of course the Eco Air 2, you can dial down the airflow so it's almost non-existent, and you can increase the airflow as you're increasing this dial. So here is our Eco 2 running with our small round air stone and our medium round air stone. Now it's time to move on from the inexpensive air stone to the higher end air stones. So here we have our Eco Air 2. We're going to match it with our Ecoplus Flexible Air Diffuser. It's actually quite flexible. So what this is going to do is this is going to diffuse your airline over a larger space. But you're not going to get the same level of bubbles and the same size as bubbles as you get with some of the more high-end air stones. So you can see the bubble size are pretty large. This is oxygenating the water, but it's also moving the water too. So if you're using an air stone to also rotate the water in your reservoir, this might be a good option for you. Now for fun, let's go ahead and look at this flexible airline with our commercial grade Eco 3 Durapump. To me it almost looks like if I was to use this flexible airline that I would rather use it with a Durapump over a hobby horticulture pump. I mean, you can see that this is what we're trying to get with an air stone. We're trying to get this level of bubble activity. We're trying to get this level of air distribution activity. So just looking at this little test that we're doing, I would much rather you use this flexible airline with one of these pumps than one of the smaller low-end pumps. And that's our flexible airline. Let's go ahead and look at the next air stone, which is going to be our round disc air stone. So now we're using our 4-inch air disc, or Ecoplus Air Disc, and let's take a look at it with the hobby horticulture pump, the Eco 2, and then we'll go ahead and try it with the commercial air pump. So here's the 4-inch air disc. It's pretty heavy, has a decent amount of surface area here. So this does well to sit at the bottom of reservoirs with water activity, water moving around, to keep the air stone from moving around. This is a pretty heavy one, so it will stay at the bottom. And then you have a decent amount of surface area here to get the air diffusion. This too is a pretty inexpensive air stone. So this is our 4-inch round air stone running off of our Eco Air 2. Just right now we're using one of the 2 outlets. So as you can see, we're breaking up the water surface tension on the top quite a bit, and there's actually, it looks like the size of the bubbles are a lot smaller than they were on the Flexible Airline. So you're getting a lot more air diffusing going on at that level of the air stone. The number of bubbles and the size of the bubbles equals the amount of air that's being passed through the water medium itself. So as you can see, in comparison to the Flexible Airline with the smaller pump, I'd actually recommend this 4-inch air stone for folks that are using the hobby horticulture, the non-Dura pumps. So like the Eco 1, the Eco Air 2, this 4-inch air stone would be a great choice for it. Now let's take a look at the 4-inch air stone on the high-end Dura pump. This is the 4-inch air stone running off of our Eco Air 3 commercial pump. This Eco Air 3 will actually run 6 of these air stones. 6 of these 4-inch round air stones. And this is just one running right now. So you can see this pump would do quite a bit for large reservoirs or large tea brewers. And last but not least, we're going to be looking at these high-end air stones next. These are the micro-pore air stones. They use a unique air stone itself that doesn't dissolve or degrade over time. So air diffusion is actually happening at the micron level. So here we have all of the air stones in one container. Here we have the micropore on this side. And as you can see, the micropore has quite a bit of air diffusion going on. So the amount of dissolved oxygen that you get from a micropore air stone versus one of the more inexpensive air stone is quite a bit more with the same air pump running there. Also, the micropore air stones, because they're made of a commercial air stone material, they last a lot longer. Especially if you're doing a hydroponic system that has a high acidity, where the cheaper air stones tend to deteriorate, you won't get that with the micropore. Here's two of the smaller micropore units. And the single. As you can see, the single has quite a bit of air moving through it.